All right, guys. I'll mute everyone as well, but you can always unmute yourselves, as you know, if you have a question. So today I thought we could talk a little bit about telegraphic movement. You know, there's so many things that we could study. Telegraphic movement is something I've been interested in, and in order to study it, I think you have to really study where you already telegraph in your life. So some common examples I see, let me use this chair here. Back when we were still allowed to take public transit, it was always interesting to watch people go up the stairs. And what I would notice is, especially when you're taking multiple steps, they put the foot, and then there's a little bit of a bounce. They bounce to get up next stair. So if you take maybe 2 steps at a time, if you watch their heads, it's like as they go up the stairs. And sometimes with punches too, someone's approaching you, and for some reason you pull the arm back before you go forward. And I think maybe that's somehow related in our heads. We have this idea that we want to get a little bit more power. But if your hand's here and the person's face is coming towards you, you can launch right away, right? So it's just a question of getting the right perspective. And if you don't have to hit hard, you can just touch. And guys, like a light touch, it's pretty strong. It can shake people up. So in order to study how to launch without preparatory movement, first we need to have a good feel for our body. So we'll spend a few minutes just to wake up some of the joints, and then maybe we can study a few applications. So first, especially with quarantine, we'll go head down. And first thing I want you to work with is your eyes, especially if you're doing a lot of screen time. So first we'll do the Cardinal Directions. You'll inhale, and then when you exhale, you're gonna roll your eyes so that you look up inside your head. So you're gonna kind of stretch the muscles which allow you to look up, and then inhale, you relax them. So. And you can also do down and left and right. So every time you move your eyes to the far edge of your view, you don't move your head, the eyeballs inside your head move. So on the exhale, you always go to the extreme edge, up, down, or left and right. Guys, while you do this, pay careful attention to the tension in your neck. Because if you start to look with your eyes really hard to the right, you would automatically feel your neck starts to go in that direction. So it means there's already a habit. Your brain cannot disconnect the movement of your eyes from the rest of your body. This is a small exercise just to practice that a little bit and also to relax the muscles around the eye. After you've done up, down, left, right a little bit, you can also do diagonals, you know, upper left, bottom right, upper right, lower left. That way you eventually stretch your eye muscles in all the different directions. And don't forget, you can still blink. Try to check any tension in your neck or shoulders while you do this. And then gradually, guys, you start to do circles with your eyes on the outer edges. So as high as you can, and you start to go as far to the right, far to the bottom, far to the left. But you keep breathing. Don't interrupt your breathing. Try to relax the tension in your neck and shoulders. Good, that's enough of that. Slowly start to move your neck. Try to release any tension that's there. If there's any pain, don't push into the pain, just move on the edge of the pain. Don't go more than, say, like a 3 out of 10. Great, guys. Shoulders, shoulder rotations. In almost any stressful activity and it strikes, shoulders is always a limiting factor, right? As soon as it gets tense, it's hard to do anything, actually. It restricts the whole body. So lots of freedom in the shoulders. Then, guys, see if you can. One shoulder is gonna go from like a forward circle. Other shoulder has to go backwards circle. I'm not even sure I could do. Yeah, like something like this. Take your time. Make sure you're doing it opposite circles. And then you switch the directions. Then any way you like. Make sure your neck is still free. Shoulders should be able to move independent of the neck. Then, guys, if someone was watching you from above, they should see your chest move in a circle. So it's going to go forward, side, back, side, forward. So it's the chest that's moving in and out, and also left and right. Try not to hold your breath. Actually, guys, it's quite interesting. I don't know how it is for you, but when I just hold my mouth open and I don't breathe, I actually feel my lungs breathing for me in this exercise. It's like the lungs compress and open just from the movement, and I feel the air moving in and out of my neck, or in and out of my throat. Great, guys. So that's kind of a forward circle. Now we do a circle more like this. It's like you go up and down. You try to imagine if there's a pencil sticking out of your chest, it's gonna make a circle in front of you. You're drawing on a piece of paper right there. You can always change the direction. Great, guys. Next, shoulders, I try not to move. It's just my hips. So that means in the front, you watch my low back, it's gonna curl forward. In the back, it's gonna arch back. In the sides, it's like this motion. So when you put it all together, it's really the low back that's doing a lot of the movement. If you can see yourself on camera, you can check that your shoulders don't move too much. If you see my shoulders make the opposite movement, then my back is not really moving. But if the shoulders stay stable, that means the low back is moving. Just a few times every day, guys, is good, because if we're sitting so much, at least I am with the quarantine, you gotta keep the vertebrae twisting and moving. So next, you guys know that the femur, it's like there's a ball at the end that fits into the hip socket. So I'm going to try to get you guys to move that ball, the hip, right inside the socket. So keep the hips facing forward, and you're going to try to draw the leg across the midline. Don't let your hips rotate. They got to stay straight, pointing forward. You're going to drag that leg across the midline and find the inner border of that ball and socket joint. You lift it as high as you can. Keep going, keep going, keep going. Then you go across. And then, guys, you see how the leg can move? You try to get your foot to be outside, not vertical, outside. And then you're going to drag it across all the way until you can bring it behind you. Down. Then you bring it back. So you can just think about the ball and socket joint. You're finding the edge of the ball and socket, and you're just kind of tracing the edges. Do maybe just a few more reps on this side. This is what we call active mobility. It's the edge of your range of motion, but it's under your control. It's not like you just kicked it out and you can go farther. You're actively controlling the very edge with your muscles. Try the other side. When you go out to the edge, guys, you're gonna feel that you wanna lift your hip. Try not to. Try to keep them in this original position as much as you can. All right, great. Next work, you can sit on your butt. So it's surprising, guys, if you don't let your knee move, your shin can actually rotate in and out a little bit. So you can sort of hug your leg a little bit like this. And you're gonna try to start with your foot either pointing in or pointing out, up to you. But when you go straighten it, you're gonna turn, you're gonna switch sides and then bend it. Let's see if I can. So it starts one way, up, switch, down. Up, switch, down. So you're gonna get the rotated position, you get range of motion, and then in the externally rotated position, you get full range of motion as well. kind of like the elbow, guys. You see, even though my wrist doesn't move, well, actually my wrist is moving, but the elbow can move so much, even though the two ends of the stick, so to speak, are frozen. So similarly, the shin has some rotational ability. You can switch legs anytime you like. You might even feel a stretch in the calf. Great, guys. Back to the first leg. Make the biggest ankle circle you can. Nice and controlled. You're really pushing the outer edge. See how far you can open up the ankle joint. As you guys know, any limitations you have in your lower body, it forces your upper body into a certain dilemma, right? If you can't move your ankle in a certain way, the whole upper movement is going to be restricted because you need to counterbalance your limitation below. So regular work on the lower body, always very helpful. If you haven't switched, make sure you switch. I can never remember who I've told, but your ankle dorsiflexion, that's this angle. This is plantar flexion, this is dorsiflexion. Usually our ability to stay upright in the squat is because of this angle. So if my ankles cannot dorsiflex, that means I have to stick my butt farther back in order to finish the squat. But if I can push my knees forward, my back automatically becomes more vertical. So for anyone who's squatting a lot of weight, especially Olympic weightlifters, they're always working on this angle to get this as narrow as possible. You can bring the top of your foot really close to your shin. You can go all the way to the bottom of a squat with really a vertical spine. And there's some advantages for that in terms of bearing weight, right? You have to bear weight slightly forward. It's going to be more work for your back. Okay, guys, just one more for fun. I'll make sure you can see. All right, the big toe. The big toe can be strong in different positions, right? So it can be when you're pushing off, often it's in this sort of lifted position or extended position, and then you're pushing down. So sometimes we want to develop a joint angle specific strength, which is when your toe is lifted. So if you can lift your toe just a little bit with your hand, and then push into your hand, you're going to fight it. And you would like to have a strong big toe in this position. Then guys, you keep your toe extended like this. You try to lift it off your hand to make it to leave the hand. It's not going to be able to go very far, but you want to also make it strong to lift off. So I'm trying to pull it as much as I can away from my hand. And then for 10 seconds, try to pin it to the floor and stop it with your hands. 5, 6, push hard guys, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good. Try the other foot. First, you lift it, put the hand underneath, and then first you drive it down.
Who needs push-ups when you can have strong toes?
Yeah. If you've ever had a broken big toe, oh man, ruins everything. Can't walk, you can't do anything.
Yep.
It's so, it's an unsung hero. Good. Try to lift off, guys. Pull it back. Try to take it away from your hands. So it's almost like you don't even want it to touch. So you're developing strength right here in the lift off. And then 10 seconds hard, push it down. Don't let it move a millimeter. Very good. How's the body feel? Awake? Good. So let's spend just a little bit of time with kind of the shoulder and the elbow. So when you punch, guys, there's some movement in the shoulder, and of course your elbow can extend. And even at the end, some people use the wrist. If you're just at the edge of your range, someone's face is here, you can't touch the chin or the nose. It's enough. It's more important for us to just feel all the joints. And we'll do a little bit of it with push-ups from the knees. And the first thing, we'll keep the elbows not moving. So I'll just show it from different ranges first. From the top position, you see my elbows are straight and my fists aren't moving, but the shoulders can move. So it's important to be able to isolate all the joints that contribute to the motion. So if you can do it from a straight arm position, you know, you have this freedom in your shoulders, then you bend a little bit, but you still move only the shoulders. There's going to be a tendency to want to use the elbows to contribute to the motion, but right now you're learning isolation. Sometimes, guys, if you want to surprise someone, they're right here, they're watching your elbow, and you can surprise them from a motion in a different part of the body. But you can only do that if you can control it independently. So I don't want you to tire your arms out. That's why I'm suggesting you use your knees. If you're really strong, you want to do a full push-up, that's fine too. But if you just do your knees, you see what sort of motion you can generate just from the shoulders. And they should feel free, like you have good control over them. Let's spend a few minutes first with the shoulders. If you feel really good with your elbows locked out, try to lower a little bit into the push-up and still have good freedom in the shoulders. You can try to imagine, guys, that if someone is leaning on you and you're just holding them off of you with your push, you can just launch a punch right then and there. You don't need to pull away to hit. Right from your current position, you can push. You can find a way to do it. Take a break anytime you need one. The opposite work, guys, is that you hold your shoulders in a stable position, but you move your elbows. So for example, one way to do this is you push your shoulder as far forward as it can go by itself, and you keep it there. So here, this is like a, let me do it here. Here, I'm in a regular push-up. I extend my shoulders. You see, I come up, and I keep the shoulders like this, but I work just the elbows. You can put them in different positions, different angles. But I try to keep the shoulders fully extended, so that way I'm isolating just the elbow motion. Your wrist, of course, has to adjust so it keeps the same surface contact, but you're developing just the elbow extension. Great, guys. When you've had enough of this, try to spend a few minutes. It's going to be more in your imagination. Imagine, and you guys have all been training in the martial arts for a while. Imagine someone's walking towards you, and you have to hit them, but your hands have to be away from you, sort of like this or like this. As you feel in your imagination they're within range, you launch right away, just from where your hand is. You don't have to pull back. You don't have to do anything with your walk. Your whole point is to move the hand directly to the target, like a magnet, you know? Magnets in space, you're holding it back. You just cut the rope, magnet flies by itself. So spend a few minutes. You imagine different hand positions, people walking towards you from different angles, and see if you can do a non-telegraphic punch. From wherever your hand is, it goes straight to the chin. Remember, guys, it doesn't have to be hard. It has to be precise. It means you touch lightly. If you try to punch hard, it's going to make your whole body show your punch is coming. They can be kind of swinging punches as well. They don't only have to be direct.
Mark, what constitutes the finish of a punch? Like, at what time are you satisfied with precision, other than to reach the point that you're aiming for?
That's it. That's all I'm thinking of.
Like, I'm thinking, to what extent does the tension ultimately reach the fist, or does it reach the fist? Because obviously we're trying to keep the tension away from the shoulders and other parts, right? So, like, is the end point?
You feel you reach the target, and then you let it go. You don't have to let it stiffen your arm. Mm-hmm. It's like you know, with the whip, the wave travels to the end, and then it's gone.
Gotcha. So it moves through. It actually doesn't. There's no finishing point in the arm. It moves through.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Got it.
And guys, I want you to experiment with two different ways of thinking about it. One, your fist goes directly to the target. Second, you first move your elbow in that way, and then your arm unfolds so that your fist lands on the target. See which one feels more comfortable for you. And what's important, guys, is sometimes you can feel in yourself that someone else could see your punch. I don't really know how to describe it, but if you don't do it right, you know that the other person has a high chance of seeing it. Whereas when I find the right angle, I know it's hard for them to see because I don't jump, you know, the hand just shows up where it shows up. Usually it's some sort of like a 45-degree angle like this. Comes smoothly from the bottom up. If your hand's already here, it's even faster. But it's not there's nothing in the body that shows it's coming before it's coming. The hand just goes there by itself. Try to combine it with a little bit of walking. When you have a partner, it's a little bit easier because if you sort of match their speed a little bit, it's harder for them to see the punches coming because you're both moving relative to each other. So if they're walking towards me and I take a step back, I have a longer time to punch. Whereas if we're walking towards each other, I have to punch so much faster because the distance closes so quick. So with your walking, you can sort of control how close people get to you and how far you need to reach. Okay, great, guys. Another example of telegraphic movement, sometimes very common. Sometimes when people get out of their chairs, they sort of launch themselves to get up. I don't know if all of you guys have chairs there or not, but we can work with a similar concept on the ground. So you're going to go to the ground, and you got to find the smoothest and most direct way to come to standing and back down. If there's some sort of preparatory movement, like let's say you want to get up and you go like this. It's a preparatory movement, right? You did something that was not part of you getting up. I realize it helps, but for this exercise, you try to find a way to get up without the counter movement. You just try to go straight up. Or you can roll to your side and get up, doesn't matter. I don't really care how you do it. I care more that you pay attention to how directly you do the movement. Where's the waist? You got to cut the fat. Because when the pressure's on, you don't have time to shuffle. You just move right away to what you want to do. At least that's the goal. When you do it really smooth, guys, sometimes you surprise people. They put you down and you're standing up in front of them right away. They don't know how you got there so fast. Keep going, guys, but now try to do it slowly if you can. We're going to work on a concept called reversibility. It means that if you have really good support in your body structure, at any moment you can switch the direction. So if you're going up and you hear me clap, you have to right away, without any hesitation, switch to going in the opposite direction. That makes sense. And you're going to notice that there's certain movements you make that are based on momentum to get up or to go down. You won't be able to stop yourself. So try to keep going down and up. But if you hear me clap, you have to right away, without any hesitation, change the direction you were going to the opposite. If you were going down, right away you have to switch to going up. Does that make sense? If you don't, just let me know. If you need to do a preparatory movement to change your direction, it means that there's a potential that you'll telegraph. So it means you're always in perfect balance. I know it's a bit artificial because in real life, people are pushing you and stuff. It's hard to be perfectly balanced. But this is a diagnostic exercise. You're going to see if there's certain parts of your movement that you cannot stop. And that's usually where people try to hit you because they know you can't avoid it. What'll really cook your goose is a double. Nice. Keep going, guys. If you're finding it's hard, go even slower. Good, guys. I'm not going to clap anymore, but you keep going and you try to imagine when is the worst place when you hear the clap for you. Because that way you can start to diagnose this is my most vulnerable point. You know, I'm going down and I cannot stop at the exact moment I want to. For me, when I try to catch people with punches, I catch them where, let's say they're walking like this. 1, 2, right here, right before the second step lands on the floor. That's usually the best time for me to hit people because their weight's falling forward onto their foot. They can't stop. I put the fist there and the face lands on my fist because you need the foot to land in order to push away. So for me, that's an irreversible movement that I try to take advantage of. Right now, you're trying to find your own irreversible movement just by going up and down on the ground. Just a few more minutes. Good, guys. Have a rest on the ground. And just breathe. Check your body. See what you feel. Try to think about your movements. And if there's any movements that you couldn't stop, that you couldn't change in a moment, another very common sticking point is the body raise. So when we do the body raise, usually there's a sticking point, and we kind of often, right about here, it's like we have to use a little bit of momentum to get past it. At that moment, you're vulnerable, right? Right here, I'm stuck. I got to find a way to develop some smoothness through this range. If I start to fall right here, I can't reverse the movement. I got to stay under control. If I hear a clap, I got to come back up right away. It means you have complete control of your body. That's our goal. I'm not going to clap, guys, but I want you to go through that sticking point and imagine if you had to change direction, could you? Or are you using momentum to get over the sticking point? Either going down, you fall. Either coming up, you kind of jump over it and then you can't actually stop. You're a habit. You're trapped in your habit, in a sense. For me, guys, the position of my chin is what allows me to regulate this. If I get to the sticking point and I move my chin forward a little bit, I know it's not perfect form, but I can get over the hump without like jumping over the hump, if that makes sense. I get right to about here. If I'm stuck, the chin comes out a little bit, and that's how I control the speed of the descent and the speed of the increase. But that's just my solution. You might have a better one. Maybe you do something with your shoulders or with your legs. It should be a little bit simpler to do this with push-ups and with squats. But I just want you to do them anyways, just to check. At any point in the push-up, you should feel like you can change direction right away if you wanted to. Let's say you were lowering into the push-up and then you realize that there was something sharp underneath your chest. You go, oh, you change direction. You don't need to fall into it even further in order to get out. Same with the squat. So a couple push-ups on your own, couple squats on your own. Check that you can always change direction anytime you want, any point in the range. There could be something sharp underneath you. There can also be something sharp above you. You might be pushing up into the line of fire or something. And you realize that you're getting in trouble, you change your direction right away. Keep going with the squats a little bit, but see if you can change smoothly the direction of weight transfer between your legs. So for example, here, most of the weight goes to this leg, and I go back and forth. But as I'm going across, suddenly I realize there's danger coming from this side. I can change right away. This is the problem I was telling you guys about before. And I don't actually have a good solution for this, because if I'm walking in this direction, as soon as my weight starts to fall on this leg, I'm stuck. If someone knows I'm going to land here, I really can't stop myself from falling forward. So where my face is, right here, as my foot's landing, they know it's going there. I can bend and stuff, but as soon as they feel my weight is starting to cross over, it's a very, very vulnerable time for me. And it's hard to get out of there. So the better you are controlling where your weight goes in simple walking, you can try as best as you can to transfer it to higher speed. I don't have a solution for this. I just want you guys to know that anytime you can't stop, people are going to try to take advantage of that. And it's good for you to feel where that is, where the weakness is. So you can walk a little bit, you can transfer your weight left and right, but try to notice when you can't stop. Okay, I'm going to stop it there, guys, and just unmute everyone in case you have questions.
Thank you, Mark. Excellent class.
Are you guys able to feel the risk?
Absolutely. I think just walking itself always involves some kind of falling every time. I never noticed that.
Yeah. For me, it's that different muscle groups or different clusters of muscles take over in that breaking point.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like in the body raise, I could tell at the most the point that you say you get stuck. It's for me, it's simply the transition. So if I was to do like 100 body raises and I would get tired, I would get sloppy. That transition would be less smooth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Some people get around this. I haven't studied them, but other martial arts, you see that they don't commit to the next foot. You hear the foot's there, but the weight's not on it yet. And then at least this way, the contact's already been made. If they need to push back, they can because the foot's there. But if your weight comes with the foot, now you're screwed. Like there's no way to stop yourself from walking into the trap anymore. So sometimes they walk very tentatively, but that also it looks a little weird, right? So people know something's up. There's no real good solution. I mean, some people are good at hiding it, but it's an interesting study either way. Any other questions, guys?
Yeah, one question I had is about the eyes. The what did you call it? Conrad something?
The what? The
eye stretching.
Yeah.
You give it a name. I don't remember what it was called. So is the goal? Does it matter how the breathing correlates to the eye movement?
People usually say that the exhale is more relaxing for the nervous system. So I try to stretch on the exhale. But I don't think there's any hard or fast rule. You can experiment with both, see what you like.
Okay.
Like, for example, if I'm stretching another muscle, I usually do it on exhale.
Got it. All good. Thank you, Mark.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you.
Good to see you guys. Take care.
Thanks, Mark. Have a good night. Thanks, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Bye all.
See you guys.
Ciao.
Yeah.